Hey YouTube, it's me again. Just I just want to share a video with you about the history, to my knowledge, of the Beretta 92 series of handguns. I may not know that much about the Beretta 92, so please forgive me about all of that, but I'm going to try to uh, do the best I can. And I got my M9A1 right here. This firearm, I actually, and for the record, both handguns have been cleared prior to the video. So, um, but yeah, my M9A1. This particular firearm I actually got from Bass Pro for about $700, because my original 92A1 that I had before was stolen. And this is my 92FS. This was originally owned by my dad. I think you guys have seen it in a few of my other videos. If you haven't already, please feel free to check them out if you want. But yeah, these guns have been locked and cleared. So, um, the Beretta company has been around since 1656, when they were making rifle barrels for the when they were making arquebus barrels for the uh, arsenal event of Venice. And when they've been in business for about 500 years, making arms for the Italian military for that long. And it says something that when a company is making that many firearms for that long, for that many centuries, no other firearm maker in the world could say that. I think Beretta. I think I think Beretta is about the only company that could say that. It's still going strong very well, and it's actually still is producing the 92 series handguns, more specifically the 92FS, in Gallatin, Tennessee. The one that I have right here is it was made in Italy. However, at the time when this gun was made, Beretta still had its company, its American subsidiary, in Accokeek, Maryland, just across the Potomac, across from D.C. And in 1985, when the United States Army, more specifically when the United States military had won the contract for the M9 pistol, they upgraded this because the original 92 that they had was the 92 SPF. That was the test model for the United States Armed Forces at the time. And by the time that the test was completed between it and the CP226, the only thing that came out of that was the cheaper unit cost that the Beretta Beretta 92 had. That, and the fact that with the open top slide you had a much wider ejection pattern, hence there was not as much possibility for a hang up to occur. The only problem that the Beretta 92 at the time had was the stigma that, when we were just coming over from the 45 ACP, they thought that the 9mm Parabellum, in this case the 9mm NATO, was just not going to have enough stopping power. However, this is a full metal jacket round. This is a 124 grain full metal jacket. And you're comparing it to the 230 grain 45 ACP ball ammunition that is being shot out of the 1911. However, if you are a forensic scientist, or not forensic scientist, but like a ballistician, and you look at the gunshot wound characteristics of ball ammunition in general, and you'll find out that there's not really that much difference, because when you're comparing a 230 grain full metal jacket 45 to a 124 grain 9mm load, it's not going to be that much difference. You're not going to tell that much difference, because it's not going to make any difference at all, because the only thing that's going to happen is it's just going to be 100% penetration. That's specifically what the full metal jacket ammunition is specifically designed to do. It's designed to go from one part of the body and out the other. However, I'm just using this 115 grain jacketed hollow point Winchester silver tip as an example. With hollow points, you only go through one part of the body, and the moment it hits, it starts to come open, and it would start to expand. That's the reason why, from as I understand it, only certain military units would use this. However, would use the jacketed hollow points and stuff like that. However, the majority of your military units would be using this, would be using the full metal jacket much more often because of that. Because one, the full metal jacket is cheaper, and two, you're going to get more penetration anyway. Another one of the problems that the early 92 FS has had, and it's after it was adopted by the U.S. military, was, I'm going to go ahead and take one of them apart here. Pardon me. So, as you can see, I just took my 92 FS apart here, but you'll notice this right here. You'll notice that there's a track in the recesses of the slide. Well, that's for in case if there's a overpowered ammunition, like for example when you're shooting plus P plus ammunition, this portion here would actually keep the slide from coming right off, because the problem was that when the slides were coming off, people were getting injured by that. When the SEALs tested out, they had found out the faulty problem that the Beretta was having, and not only that, they were also having a problem with corrosion resistance, which is why they went with the SIG P226 and the later designation of the Mark 25, because of that. However, what they had found out was on a standard 9mm round, like this 9mm Luger right here, the primer cup is a lot lower and it's not staked, and hence the standard pressure that it's at. Okay, when they were loading when the Winchester Olin factory was loading the first batch of 9mm NATO 124 grain ball ammunition, what was happening was they took the 9mm powder load and they put the primer cup on this much higher. So what because on the 9mm NATO case, the primer cup sits much higher and is staked. They do this for longevity and transport, so that way when you fire this out of your MP5 or what have you, you're not having to worry about the primer backing out on you. Whereas you tried to do that with the 9mm Luger, you'll end up having problems because the primer will end up backing out because it's not crimped and staked. Whereas the 9mm NATO is, hence the reason why it's at a 36,500 psi pressure, which would be a plus P pressure. However, when you use the normal powder load for a 9mm Luger in a 9mm NATO case, what you end up doing is you end up going towards a plus P plus, which is something that you don't want to do for safety reasons. That was the major problem, which is why Beretta sued the United States government for that and decided to fix the problem by installing this disc right here, and that's the main reason for this track right here in the recess of the slide. If you'll excuse me for a moment, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble my my piece here. And now it's back together. This is a very simple, very reliable handgun, so long as you take care of it and stuff like that. It shouldn't give you that many problems. However, in 2006, the United States Marine Corps adopted the M9A1. Basically, what they wanted was they wanted a continuation of the M9, but they wanted the option to mount a light like what's on my AR right there, a laser light combo, because they had found out that with the FS you couldn't have the option because there was no 1913 rail system on there. And by 2006, Beretta listened to the Marine Corps and they decided to put that on there, and hence the 92A1, or in this case the M9A1. However, by 2015 to 2016, the United States military looked at its small arms program, more specifically its small arms handgun program, and they realized that the Beretta 92 series was just starting to show its age, and they wanted to go with a more modular handgun system, because by that point in time, the P320 had just came out, and they were looking at that saying, "Hey, that's not a nice fire. Hey, that's not a." They were looking at the P320, which had just came out, and they had realized, well, that's not a bad firearm. I mean, it's got a, it was a modular handgun system, and the U.S. government decided to kind of look into it and everything else. The United States Army, looked into it, and they figured, hey, this isn't a bad design at all. And they had you know, other companies to compete with Sig Sauer, to include Beretta, which at that point in time, Beretta had just came out with the M9A3. Now, what the messed up part about the handgun program was, why are you going to sit there and waste millions of taxpayer? Why are you going to sit there and waste millions of taxpayer dollars on a brand new handgun when you can just keep up to date with the original handgun that you already have? You know, but knowing the U.S. government and knowing how they are, they don't want to change to they don't want to change to their original handgun because they have to authorize that change, and they don't like doing that. They would rather just simply move over to the new system and, you know, test it out and everything else. You know, that's just how the U.S. government is. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you enjoyed the explanation and at least had some form of understanding of it, to, you know, as best as, you know, as much as I could. You know, I tried to kind of explain it the best way that I can. You know, I mean, I'm not exactly that knowledgeable about, you know, some of the things. Hell, you know, if you want a more in-depth look at the Beretta 92 FS series, I think there's another even bigger channel than me that will describe it far better than I could. And I think the guy at Small Arms Solutions, I think, you know, I think would provide a much better explanation than I ever could. So if you guys like this video, be sure to please share, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. You guys have a nice evening now.